Hello, my name is Shaheera Abdullah and today we're going to be focusing on the Bollywood industry in India. In India, Bollywood is equivalent to Hollywood for America. It's a film that's melodramatic, long, filled with song and dance numbers, has elaborate sets, brightly colored costumes, and is based on traditional values, such as family and religion. The word Bollywood is a play on Hollywood, with the B coming from Bombay, now known as Mumbai, which is the center of the Indian film world. In 1986, the motion picture technology was introduced to India and grew ever since then. So in 2006, India produced a total of 1,090 films, compared to a more modest 607 films in the US. However, the Indian film industry generated $2.1 billion in revenue, where the US had over $2.2 billion worldwide. The Indian hit films are inspired by social and political changes, something that the massive Indian community can relate to. The most popular themes evolved from pro-working class films in the 1960s that changed to focus on poor, underprivileged men in the 1970s for their target audience. Bollywood became a huge hit and growing popularity in countries such as Southeast Asia and the Middle East, due to the large number of Indian working class immigrants that had migrated there. We will now further investigate and ask our researchers about this industry and how it has evolved and the future of Bollywood and if it can go global.
The film business is definitely global. Films are produced and distributed in foreign markets, and corporations are also present on a global market. One evidence is the fact that years of trade liberalization across the globe has resulted in the creation of TNCs and joint ventures between companies across borders. The most globally successful industry so far is Hollywood. They sought to expand in other Western countries when there was a market opportunity and has since then become well established in both content and as a foreign investor. The market is also currently expanding when new emerging countries like China, India, and Korea recently started to open up for foreign investors. In terms of movie content, producing mainstream movies that appeal to a large consumer base is the concept that Hollywood relies on. This has shown to be a very successful approach if you want to distribute your movie globally. It is not always a winning concept, however. A movie's success can also be dependent on contemporary political hostility and social and cultural norms in each society. For India, movies have been a reflection of the Indian society, but have still been able to reach viewers outside of India due to a big Indian immigrated population. A good example of a Bollywood movie that has been a recent success is Doom 3, who achieved sales of $16.7 million in India during the opening weekend, but also achieved $10.7 million internationally. Of those, $3.43 million alone accounted for the North American market. Overall, movies do travel well across borders, but they do so especially when an audience can relate to the cultural themes that movies portrays. The global distribution of movies is also made easier due to liberalization of regulation and many countries opening up for foreign investors to give the film industry a push in capital. The entering of new media technologies has also simplified distribution of movies.
What would you say are the key differences between the Indian and US film industry?
To begin with, these two markets have a different history of trade liberalization. Another important difference is the power imbalance. Early adoption of trade liberalization has led to major power imbalance between the different film industries. Hollywood has been able to develop their vertical integration through mergers and acquisitions since the early 20th century. This has made it possible for American film companies to secure resources and levels of production, distribution, and exhibition, which leaves them with better control over their products. It also means that they can control their costs and prices. Out of 400 production houses, only 32% in 2006 were registered as corporate entities. whilst in Hollywood, the production houses have tried to gain control over both the horizontal and vertical integration and therefore also their whole value chain. For distribution, in India, the film distribution is divided into territories, 6 in India and 1 for the rest of the world. Distributors have limited control. In Hollywood, the focus has again been to own your own means of distribution. Well, you can look at the market drivers, and there are global consumers for the products, especially in Western countries for American movies. There are also global consumers for Indian movies, Indian immigrants in foreign countries and consumers who can relate to the themes of the movies. There are also global channels, and global reach and distribution have been simplified through new technology. There are also lead countries, and America is one of the leading countries in terms of expertise. There are also cost drivers where you seek to lower your costs. There are also competitive drivers with globalized competitors. There are rival domestic firms and rival international firms. There's also government drivers with common market regulations, which we can see in the liberalization of economy and opening for foreign investments.
Apparently, Indian film industry goes through a newer generation of urban films which appeal to a younger and more globally aware Indian audience as closer to international tastes. Bollywood filmmakers are recognizing benefits of diversifying films, investing in a mix of large and smaller budget films, playing to different markets, rural or urban, Eastern or global. Nevertheless, we do not think that they target the Western audience, therefore do not seem to be a direct competitor to Hollywood.
What kind of opportunities for American studios does Bollywood present?
India's fast-growing economy and the provision of 100% foreign direct investment has made the Indian film market very attractive for foreign corporation studios such as 20th Century Fox, Sony Pictures, Walt Disney Pictures and Warner Brothers. Indian movie stars become recognizable all over the world, and many of them, such as Shah Rukh Khan, Aishwarya Rai and Amitabh Bachchan, acquired a global celebrity status. We have applied Gemma Watt's CAGE framework in order to analyze what factors need to be taken into account by the US while planning their international strategies of entering Indian market. This tool is very relevant and practical in this case, due to the fact that the film industry has a linguistic content and country-specific association. Values, norms and lifestyles of Indians are very different from the US ones. Language specifics and jokes are difficult to translate across nations. Also, Bollywood movies are very much focused on music and dance, which is not common in the US movies. Thus, cultural attributes are the most observable when it comes to movies. Administrative distance reflects historical and current political and legal associations between trading partners of all countries. Despite their shared affinities of constitutional democracy, liberal politics and civic nationalism, the United States and India unfortunately have not enjoyed consistently warm relations since the two countries established formal diplomatic ties. Geographic distance is expressed in physical terms, and India is 8,400 miles or 20 hours away from Los Angeles. Economic factors capture differences between incomes, distribution of wealth, and GDP. Indian film industry contribution to economy is enormous. It creates jobs, adds taxes, and constitutes 0.5% of GDP. Differences in social statuses and disposable income are very evident since we compare developed and emerging countries. The US GDP is much higher than the India's.
How should Hollywood approach the Indian film market?
Foreign entry decisions can go two ways, either using differences to create value, which is an adaptation strategy in our case, or exploit globalization drivers and create a homogeneous product. There are 4 strategies the Hollywood corporations can adopt as multinational enterprises. These options are flexible in extent of local responsiveness and global integration. If Hollywood receives low responsiveness from Indian market, it can keep on pursuing global strategy by creating standardized products, despite the differences between the US and India. If local responsiveness is high, transnational strategy can be adopted, and therefore Hollywood will be able to combine advantages of global scale efficiencies with country-specific advantages of India. In case both global integration and local responsiveness are low, international strategy is a reasonable option. The issues of integration and responsiveness are particularly pertinent in countries with a distinct local business environment that inhibits the smooth transfer of business models. For example, extensive pool of labor in Bollywood can lack specialist human capital in designing special effects or teaching acting. Therefore, Hollywood's business model has to be adapted to such issues.
What is the best strategy for Bollywood to go global?
Bollywood should focus on Ganwat's strategy tripod of the AAA model to go global. The AAA model is known as adaptation, aggregation, and arbitrage. In order to effectively adopt this strategy, Ganwat specifies that only one of the AAAs should be focused on. In particular, Bollywood should look at adaptation, which we will discuss further later on.
Should Bollywood focus on the niche international market of the Indian diaspora?
Considering the success of Bollywood in the international market of Indian diaspora, it would be highly beneficial for the industry to focus on this area. There has been unprecedented success with films such as Bend It Like Beckham, Kuch Kuch Hota Hai, Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum, and Kabhi Alvida Na Kehna, which were all targeted to this market. These movies had a modern upper-class setting, but also had traditional themes like arranged marriage and the caste system intertwined within them, thus balancing traditional Indian values with those of the modern world. These movies were largely made to target the international modern Indian youth. The Indian diaspora are a lucrative market because average ticket price in the countries which these people reside, like the USA, Canada, the UK, and so on, are much higher than in India itself. It takes the average Indian only 16 minutes to earn the cost of a film ticket, which is one of the cheapest in the world. Reaching non-Indian audiences has not been a huge success for Bollywood. In order for Bollywood to better penetrate these foreign markets, they would need to focus on adapting their movies to the local culture and local taste. For example, the Indian movie Muthu unexpectedly and successfully penetrated the Japanese market. Thus, by studying the local culture and adapting their movies to the cultural beliefs and norms, Bollywood would be able to reach these foreign audiences. However, this is a slightly more risky approach, especially if their movie turns out to be a flop. So perhaps if Bollywood were to focus on producing a separate set of movies specifically for the international market, which aren't focused on the singing and dancing, then they would do well abroad. Bollywood could do this by working with directors from the international diaspora who grew up abroad and know what the international market want. Perhaps since both Hollywood and Bollywood are trying to break into each other's markets, they can work together in a joint partnership to reach a joint goal. This strategic alliance would allow both Hollywood and Bollywood to do exchanges with actors and filmmakers, sending them to each other's industries, sort of like a secondment, to learn about it from the inside, thus allowing them to easily penetrate the other's market. By having this cross-pollination between industries and attracting Hollywood actors and directors to work on big Bollywood films, it would gain huge publicity worldwide. This is just one example of a bridging strategy where Bollywood celebrities adapt themselves to gain public interest.
As mentioned earlier, Hollywood should not see Bollywood as a threat, but rather as an opportunity for both industries to expand. However, despite the increasing integration of Western cultures into India, it is likely that while the differences between India and the USA will converge to be more and more similar over time, it will take a significantly long period of time before Bollywood will be able to really compete with Hollywood. Even though most of the collaborative movies that Hollywood and Bollywood have done together have flopped, Bollywood should consider learning from Hollywood, their successful distribution and marketing techniques.
Overall, Bollywood and Hollywood's cultures are too different to say that they can't be competitors. We believe that both industries will continue to grow parallel of each other, as Bollywood is generally globalizing as its popularity continues to spread. There will be many opportunities for both industries to collaborate with each other to bring attention to the Western market, such as movies like Slumdog Millionaire and Bend It Like Beckham, which has had tremendous success. In the future, if Bollywood decides to implement the strategies recommended by our researchers, we predict that we will be seeing more of Bollywood.